Starfall.
Hi, we're here to check out this very cool one-of-a-kind Starkiller from Starfall Sabers. This was commissioned by David of the Saber Museum, and this is the hilt that Nick said most of the work on it is custom machined. So with that, David said, hey, how much more special can we make the install? So let's drop down to the table. We'll talk about what went on with the electronics, and then we'll go over the chassis and some of the functionality. We'll hop back out. I'll show a few blade styles. Again, this is a repeat customer, so I'm not going to go over a lot of the other functions of the Sabers. Yeah, so let's check it out, and we'll hop back out, and we'll finish it up. Thanks for checking it out. Okay, so we're here to talk about this one-of-a-kind Starkiller for David at the Saber Museum. So this is a recent Starkiller that Nick did, and if you've seen his social posts, you'll know that this is almost 90 to 95% completely handmade, custom machined. There's very few found parts. Normally with the Starkiller line that Nick's been doing, he'll use the Graflex shroud, and then a one replicas box, and some found greeblies in the crystal and stuff like that. But this is completely hand machined aluminum tube, custom machined box. We've got 2 dome tactiles here, and then milled bunny ears with some knurling and grips, copper, all that. So this is really cool. So with that in mind, David said, how special can we make this? So I threw as many accent LEDs in here as I could. So to start off, this comes with this Allen key and of course this plate that I etched for Nick. But we've got our blade retention screw up top, and then we've got a grip retention screw masked in these little circle accents. So let's take the blade plug out real quick to show off. Oops. So we've got our custom blade plug here. We've got a Shtok neopixel emitter. And so the main blade is its own style. And then we've split the inner and outer rings into their own styles. So they'll have some animations when it's off and on. We do have our normal strip that goes behind the crystal, behind that grate. So there's 15 2020 neopixels there. I did use top and bottom 50-50 neopixel accents, mostly because these funnel down in. But on the grip, we have another crystal chamber. So we take that off. We've got this cool copper grip with some cool knurling. Anyway, so in this crystal chamber, since this greeblie had enough opening for me to use one of the new Shtok neopixel circular arrays for like crystal chamber accents, I think I'm using the medium. There's 16 15-15 neopixels. So what I did for this particular blade style is, in the on state, we got a good animation so that all the little imperfections in the crystal will light up. So you can sort of see there's some cracks and some diffusion. So it'll look a lot more active. But because we've got basically a strip behind this crystal, I didn't think that was super necessary to try and get some extra accent pixels in the top and bottom. So those are just singles. So anyway, we've got our main blade, 2 at the emitter, top and bottom, strip, crystal chamber, and then we did this resin printed greeblie chassis with flexible element tube. That is flexible filament. That is a green, and then we've got 2 flanking a circular. I used this greeblie accent on a recent install for David for a Starfall Dark Coda, so I liked the way that looked. But what I did was I flanked it with 2 short blue Edison filaments. And then on this side, we've got a 2020 pixel array for this, behind this diffused resin strip. And then just a custom painted greeblie chassis, I did like a silver pewter kind of gunmetal looking rub and buff with some gold accents. And then I busted out the acrylic miniature paints with my tiny detail brush and just, you know, painted some extra color accents. So we got some green, some blue. You can hardly tell, but really tiny pieces here as well. Got some red there. And then just gold. And then we've got our battery tray has our Starfall logo with the positive and negative terminals clearly indicated. And then we can do that, some faux, I like to do these faux resistors with some cool tubes and stuff like that. So yeah, so we've got a blade style for this Edison filament. These two short Edison filaments share their own blade style. We've got a blade style for this 4 neopixel array, and then a single neopixel, or a single blade style for that. So 11 blades in total. We've got our Proffi V2. The config is on the SD card. We also have a kill switch here, and we've got our 28 millimeter bass speaker from the Saberbay. So loaded up, tons of electronics. And so just to note, the top is your activation, bottom is your aux. Takes an 18650. Again, spring side's your negative. So we'll plop that in. We do want to kind of grip the chassis since we just have a glue joint here. It's a pretty good press fit, but it's super glued in here as well. So since we're pushing against the spring when we put the battery in, just kind of use your extra fingers to grip it and don't just like jam it in there. Yeah, so then we flip our kill switch.
You should know who you're dealing with.
So we get our boot sound. I did put a Starkiller font on here because obviously this is a Starkiller. So we can see we've got different animations happening for the emitter. So that center ring lights up, and then when it's on, the outer ring lights up. We've got the strip behind the blade will only turn on when it's in the on state. And then we've got our two top and bottom just doing like a pulsing. And then this is also doing a pulsing, but it's a little slightly different color. Yeah, and so then we got just a couple different animations on the blues and then the breathing on the green. So yeah, one thing I did decide to do, this is something new that I haven't done before, but because we've got like just a plethora of neopixels, what I decided to do was use blade detect. So the idea being that if you're going to throw a blade in here, you're probably going to have the grip on and you'll be swinging around. So there's no reason to have all these blinkies go off. So I got a little 1-inch diameter test blade here. And so when we stick that in, you'll get that blade in indicator and you'll see all of the grip accents turn off. So anything that would be covered when we put the grip on. So the crystal chamber is still going, right? Okay, so let's take that off. And then when we pull the blade out, get our blade out sound. So basically when you're operating this, you'll hear that sound. You'll know you've made good contact with the PCBs, and then you can cinch your blade down. But let's turn it on. So we got that. You can see our strip in the back doing some animation. And then the top and bottom are still red. And then we've got this Edison filament now doing a audio flicker. And then I tried to, because it's only one color, I tried to do like a lower light in the like on state so that when we clash, it'll brighten up. I don't know how well this can show up on camera, but you'll see the blue and the greens get just a little bit brighter to react to clashes. And of course, almost everything lights up when we clash or blast. All right, we've got our strip going. And so now that's going. But if we can, you can sort of see how that animation is making all those little imperfections in the crystal do something cool. So yeah. And we, all right. See if we can. Sorry, I'm really struggling to do this mirrored. So yeah, you can sort of see those blues light up. Anyway, okay. So when you go to put the grip back on, you just want to align these strips with either the center of the control box or like the center of this greeblie. But you will notice a slight mar on the copper here where the set screw goes. So you just want to line that up. Or if you want to, you can almost kind of align the top of the Proffi with the set screw, right? And then what I do is I just kind of double check that that strip lines up with the buttons and then cinch it down, right? Okay. Okay, so we have our gesture on controls if we want to use those. We have twist on, right? Twist off. We also have thrust on, which is if your hilt's kind of horizontal, you kind of shove it forward. Or, like I said, power and aux, so we can just light up normally. And to move forward, we just hit aux.
Celestial.
Go backwards, point the hilt down, hit aux.
Starfall.
To start our tracks, we hold the power for 1 second. And since, David, you wanted to make sure we have the Star Wars theme and Duel of Fates, I put the Star Wars theme on Starfall, and I put Duel of Fates on Ruin. So let's just start that real quick. That's there. And we can turn that off. But yeah, so when we're ready, we can just undo the grip, pull that off, and then hit the kill switch. Again, config is on the SD card. You can get a 90-degree cable in here if you need to do any extra programming. If you don't have one, I did make this such that you can, this is just a press fit, and it slides up underneath just a small lip here. So you can pull that out just about like 3 millimeters and then prop it up, pull your SD card if you don't have one of those cables. But I doubt you'll need to do any of that. You can, yeah, flip the kill switch if you're going to keep the battery in, or, you know, just pull the battery out and set that off to the side. So let's go over a couple of the fonts here just so we can see all the different colors and animations. I'm just going to try to do this slowly and turn on and off. So this is Starfall. And again, almost everything is blast, clash, lightning block, reactive. Because I did have 11 blade styles and tons of extra programming with the blade detect feature, I couldn't get too many animations. So for the most part, the crystal and the emitters are all going to be kind of the same across all the presets. The Edison filaments will do a few different blinks, pulsings. So like in this particular instance, it's kind of a random blink, and some other, and this one's a pulsing. And then when it's on, this is audio reactive. I'm sorry, audio flicker, and then it's more of a solid color. And then, you know, these can do different things. So here, let me boot it up muted. So there's our two different little chassis accents, excuse me. So yeah, we can see we've got more of a solid color on these filaments. And then we'll go to a different font so we can see our color changed. These do have the same typical colors that you request, David, but I did try to do a variation between different crystals and different accents here. So for instance, not everything's a huge change. But basically, yeah, these animations are going to be similar. Go to a different font. So now we've got a blinking on this Edison. And then we can see there's a little bit of difference between the purples here. Oops. We can turn those on. So that one shows up pretty well, that animation. We got blue, yellow. And this is probably washed out, but we'll try to show it with the blade in. But yeah, again, with blade detect, we can just plug this in, right? And then all the stuff goes off on the chassis. And that's just so we can save power. Now, I did also set the timeout to be 15 minutes. So if you just have this on a shelf, after 15 minutes, the lights will go off and it will require a button press to wake up. So
Hero's Journey.
Go over a couple different fonts here. Because we do have like so many different colors going on here, I tried to make sure that these two Neos kind of do something a little bit different, but sort of match the theme with the crystals and of course the emitter, you know. Start it muted so you can see that. But like I said, the back strip will always be this animated blue, whereas the crystal top and bottoms will be the color of the blade. And then this will be probably just a different shade of the blade color, or might have a different off state than it does on, stuff like that. All right, so like I said, when we're done, we can just flip the kill switch, then we can put our blade plug in. Cinch it all back up and put it on the shelf. So thanks for checking it out. I hope you like it. Okay, so we talked about the chassis design, all of the 11 blade styles, the fact that we do have blade detect. So let's just show off a couple blade styles. Most of these are going to be the same from our other installs, but I did want to show off a few things that I did differently. So that being said, this does have blade detect. So with our Allen key, we can pull this off, and so you'll get that blade out sound. And now you'll notice the emitter is lighting up. We have the grip on, but the grip LEDs and all that stuff will be on as well. So when we put this back in, we're going to get our blade in set. And so this is a good way to tell when you've got the blade fully connected. You don't need to put a lot of pressure. These are the short pins, so there's not a lot of play here. So you just use gravity to set the blade on the hilt, cinch down the set screw, make sure that's fully engaged. This is a 1-inch blade. It's programmed for a 36-inch. Again, this is what David normally requests. So that being said, top is our power, bottom is our aux. If we want to advance fonts, we just hit the aux. If we want to go back, we'll point down. And then we can ignite regularly with the button, or we can use gesture controls. I've got twist on and thrust on and twist off. Now, again, those get into battle mode, which means you don't have to hold a button to engage lockups. And lockups are what you saw in the intro, the white, but it can also be a melt or a drag if we're pointing down. So let's show that off just real quick. So twist on, now we're in battle mode. So when we clash the saber, we're gonna stay in a lockup until we pull away. And then same goes for if we're pointing down, with that. Or melt is sideways. So if we want to engage the track, and then David, you did ask that I include the Star Wars main theme and Duel of Fates. The Star Wars main theme is on the Starfall font. So if we hold the button for a second, let go, start that, hold it to turn it off. You can do that while the blade is on, you just have to be vertical. And so Duel of Fates I put on Ruin, because that gave me more Sithy vibes. So let's go to the Ruin real quick.
Celestial. Heroes. Ruin.
So again, Ruin is the one with the Prion. The Prion only happens when we hit the button. But let's just show Duel of Fates real quick so we can double check that out. And turn it off. Okay. So if we twist on, we bypass the pre-on, okay? But if we use the button, we'll get a little pre-on. All right, so it's real short, but yeah. So this would be a blade style. If you do add any fonts in the future, you could, and they have a pre-on, you could just duplicate this blade style. Now, with that said, I did do that for the Starkiller. So let me go backwards real quick.
Heroes. Infinium. Celestial. Starfall.
So we're going to get to our battery level indicator.
Battery level
Is the last one. So, just like normal, we got a little bubble here that shows how much the charge is in the off state. So the further out it is, the more it's charged. Also, what I did is with the blade in, just the crystal will show you from a green to a red how much charge there is. If the blade is out, some of the other neopixel accents on the strip, the extra crystal and the port greeblie, I think will also go from green to red. So if we actually just want to get a number, you can do hold aux tap power with the off.
Battery level 15%.
So we actually get a spoken percentage. Okay, so with the new Ahsoka trailers,
It's too late. This is your end.
with the new Ahsoka trailers coming out, we do see some new Force users with an orange blade. So what I did on the Starkiller, since this is going to be a new canon color, I think, I did an orange blade, but I just used Ruin. So not sure how well that's going to show up on camera because we've got extra lights here, but this is not red. This is actually orange. So, but we do have our other colors. So if we go to Cornhorn, we get our white blade. This color change mode is direct on this one. So if we do that same battery command, aux tap power while it's on, we're going to get to a purple. So, and then same to turn off. Any other time you're going to jump into color wheel, but you probably aren't going to be using that. So you're probably just going to keep all of the standard font colors, which if we go backwards, we're going to get our blue for High Republic. Again, that's going to stay in the crystal as well. Okay. And then
Reconcile.
I think this is yellow. Yep. It's kind of showing whitish on my screen here, so probably don't see that so much in the camera, but you can see that in the crystal for sure. And again, the strip behind the blade is always going to be this light blue in the on state, so you'll still get the crystal color, and it's probably showing up washed out, but you'll see. So then if we go back, we did Ruin.
Hero's journey.
I think this is green. Okay. We got that in the crystal as well. And then Infinium's our Mace Windu purple, so we can see that in the crystal. And then Celestial is our silver, or our light blue. And then the Starfall. So yeah, we've got the Starfall font package plus an extra Starkiller font just because we've got a Starkiller hilt. And then, yeah, so anything I haven't covered here, again, I'll have a printout for you. It's a 2-button command, just like all the other sabers you've commissioned from me. So if you have any questions, let me know. And thanks for checking it out.